Welcome everybody to today's City Council meeting. Today, Monday, November 25th. I now call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
District 1, Councilmember Casey.
Present.
District 2, Councilmember Vieira.
Present.
District 4, Councilmember Martinez.
Present.
District 3, Vice Mayor Silvera.
Here.
Mayor Lopez.
Here. We will begin with the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and then a presentation. We have Pastor Jim Staccio. He's online. Everybody please stand.
Thank you. Excuse my voice. Excuse my voice. I've been struggling with a cold, but let's pray. God, we have much to be thankful for. We thank you for the sunshine and the rain and the mix of both, which provides us with beautiful rainbows. Thank you for our beloved city, its leadership in schools and business and politics. Thank you for our neighbors. Thank you for our families and those who gather, those who help those in need. Bless this meeting with clarity and charity, and we give you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a presentation today on the Crosstown Showdown, and we will have the entire council along with Greg, John, Brett, and the entire, all the student athletes. If you can please step up to the podium so we can begin with these certificates. Okay, so the Vice Mayor and Councilmember Martinez will also assist me for the athletes, but we will first, you got something else for me?
Yeah, hold on before we start.
Here we go.
So some of you remember the little challenge that we made at one of the council meetings. If you don't know, I coached football at Sirius High School for 20 years. And then Javier's coached football for Central Valley for a long time. We had a bet, whoever won the Crosstown Showdown, the other would wear a shirt or jersey at the entire council meeting. So this was very nice of him to come up with the shirt. But I think we have something better that makes more sense for him to wear the rest of the night.
Let's go, baby.
And thanks, Coach Johnson, for picking that up for me. Now we'll see if we can get it on.
Hold on. Okay, we got those. I'm sure it's big enough. All right. Never say never. All right. And you know what? That's a true testament, ladies and gentlemen, how much we all care about this city and how much everybody here really loves football. So congratulations, gentlemen, on the Crosstown Showdown and for winning the trophy. So what the goal is today is we'll hand you the certificates and then we'll give you guys an opportunity to say some words after the council sits down. So the first certificate will be for Dan. Are you here? No, he's not here? Okay. And of course, John Bassard. Everybody please clap. And Mr. Magny, are you here, sir? And I'll have Councilman Martinez with the athletes on the first five.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations, boys. First up is going to be Ulysses Ramirez Ochoa. Are you here? Not here. Perfect. I'll put it to the side, but we'll give him a clap. Next, I've got Manuel Serrano. No. Elias Carrera. All right. Reese Smith. And then finally, I have Daniel Davis. Are you here? Perfect. I'll leave these with Coach.
All right, I have Giovan Cio. Kyle Songa. Oscar Cairo. Out here. Michael Solis. And Trey Carrium. Hey, once a Bulldog, always a Bulldog. Great job, Series High School Bulldog.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and stand in front of the podium. Everybody, let's take a quick photo. In front of the podium, everybody.
Like me,
Gentlemen, I know that you guys want to say something, and I know that we're probably gonna have to get one certificate for the coach as well. So we'll make sure we get that for you.
Well, first, I just wanted to say, Mayor Lopez, you know, the man of his word, he said he had to wear an outfit. He did show up at the school today. He was given a shirt, he bought a shirt, and now he's got a jersey. So it looks like he could be wearing that for the next 3 years, which would be perfect. So good thing you're back and you're all outfitted. I told you you needed to follow his wardrobe, and you're a man of your word. I greatly appreciate it. Game was a success this year. We faced a lot of new challenges with the new field and how everything was going to look, and you know, the popularity of the game that's grown so much in the past 5 years. Well, we faced some new challenges with the new field and everything, and with the cooperation and help of everybody, it turned out great. It was a huge success, and again, thank you guys for the support of the city and the support of the community in this huge endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Anybody else? All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on to citizens' communications. While the city council welcomes and encourages participation in city council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes, Resolution 2007-106, for expression of the non-agenda items. Matters under the jurisdiction of the city council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the city council from taking any action on any matters which is not posted on the agenda, unless it is determined to be an emergency by the city council. Citizens are entitled to address the city council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. Anyone wishing to address the city council must adhere to the rules of decorum, and the rules of decorum are posted outside the chamber doors. And we will begin with in-person comments, and I will begin with a couple of yellow cards. We have Sunveer. Welcome.
Hey everyone, my name is Sanveer Bamra, and I'm here from Central Valley High School. This is my 3rd year in the internship of CAD. Today I would like to talk about the statistics of youth tobacco use. So around 8.4% of high school students and around 5.4% of middle school students have reported using tobacco products. This data is from the past 30 days. There's a decline in the use of tobacco products, but however, there's an incline in they've been using multiple tobacco products. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, this next person, I just want to make sure I pronounce this correctly. Sukmen. And please don't feel free to correct me.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sukman Dhaliwal, and I am also a career intern from Central Valley High School. Now that we know the harmful effects of tobacco and how it affects our school campuses, what can be done to prevent it? More specifically, what can we do to protect our youth from it? Well, the Modesto Police Department is currently seeking a tobacco retail license to curb youth access from drug products. I think this is a great opportunity for Sirius to follow in their lead and take similar action. Obtaining a TLR would significantly reduce access to tobacco and improve public health overall. It would also show a commitment to protecting the younger population and would inspire more people to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last person is Harleen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Harleen Baines, and I'm currently a student at Central Valley High School, and I'm an internship in CAD. And CAD is a big statewide program that is led by peers, and the initiative is focused on harm reduction and substance use prevention. But today I'm going to talk about the main effects of tobacco and what I see on my campus. So the main effects of tobacco are lung cancer and heart disease, and these usually end in death. But this all starts when a young person starts using it at a young age, and over time they will slowly start seeing the effects of tobacco. But for what I see at school is usually people, like students, are using vapes / carts in the locker room or bathrooms. But for me, mainly, I see them in the locker rooms, and they usually do it before they go to class, which is PE or dance, and like where they have to be active. And they use it before the class. So that means like they have like an athletic decrease, performance in their decrease. So like athletic, and that is how people end. That's how people have bad grades at the end of the day, because they aren't performing well in their classes. And that is all for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to make a comment? Is there anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom, but we did receive an email.
Y'all go ahead, read into the record, please.
This is from Tony Cavagion. It says here, my name is Tony Cavagion. I'd like to address the no fishing at the River Bluff Pond. This afternoon, I walked the perimeter of the whole pond, and there is no pond liner exposure. That liner was put in over 20 plus years ago and is now buried under several inches of sediment. There is no way a fisherman could compromise that liner, which they haven't in over 20 plus years of fishing there. A year or so ago, they put up a no fishing sign at the pond. One of the reasons for the change was the concern for the pond liner being hooked. It's a moot point. It's been there 20 plus years with no issue of liner breaching. Another issue was the non-potable water that could be harmful if someone ate the fish. There again, in over 20 plus years, the fishing there has not been any complaints to the city of contaminated fish. I do agree with that point of not eating fish from the pond. What I and others would like to see is the pond be a catch and release only, and no consumption of anything from this pond signs replacing the current no fishing signs. That way the city could be covered twice over. Another point is on the park signs in the first parking lot coming into the recreation area. There are instructions for what can and cannot be done at the park. Example, there are no hunting, no camping, etc. However, it does not say fishing is allowed. Let's continue that privilege. It would seem that a family-friendly administration would encourage fathers and mothers, sons and daughters to get the kids away from their electronics and get them outdoors. More tackle boxes and less Xboxes. Please restore families' ability to go fishing without the risk of being ticketed and getting fined. Thank you, Tony Cavagion.
Thank you. Councilmember, would you like to make a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not on the letter that was read. I just wanted to say to the three Central Valley High School CAD students that showed up this evening, I appreciate you guys showing up and speaking and talking to us about the dangers of tobacco. I'm a father of 3 young kids, so I appreciate you being brave this evening and bringing that to our attention. I know public speaking is difficult, so I'm very proud of you guys showing up here this evening and taking that endeavor on.
Thank you. Moving on from citizens communications. Is there anybody on the council that would like to declare a conflict of interest? Moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by our single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be acted and upon by a roll call vote. Is there any council member that would like a consent item pulled? I see Rosalinda Vera.
Number 6, please.
Thank you, council member. Councilmember Casey, which item? What was that, what number?
Number 8.
Number 8, okay. Any members of the audience would like to pull an item on the consent calendar?
I didn't see the one for the carports.
That is actually following under referral, a couple pages down. Thank you. Other than that, bring that back for,
I'll make a motion to approve items 1 through 5, 7, 9, and 14 of the consent calendar.
Second.
roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira,
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Councilmember Rosalinda Vieira, item number 6.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to ask, just for some clarification purposes, regarding this. When I was reading, it looked like the contract, although it can go up to 5 years, it looked like it was on an annual basis of renewal. And then my second question was, how often or frequency do we anticipate actually, I don't want to necessarily do an expense on something we don't need. I just wanted to confirm that we've actually are going to actually maybe a backup, or if it's ever been needed.
Chief.
Yeah, I can answer that question. So the first one is the 5-year agreement. It is a 5-year agreement, but it pretty much is on an annual basis. And then the second question is, we have used SR 911 and the like. They have used us as backup centers on several occasions. Just this year alone, we've had a few incidents where our radio lines were cut in Stockton by some criminals that were recycling the copper wire, and it actually crashed the entire radio system for the county. It was actually on their end, which particular wires were cut. So we actually had to act as their backup while those repairs were being made. There was another incident where a vehicle accident actually hit one of the main electrical boxes near SR 911 that knocked out all of their power. They actually had to send dispatchers to our office and dispatch out of our office on the backup system for several days. Even this year, when we replaced our backup generator, during the time when our power went down, we had to, what we call, flip the switch, and then they had to dispatch for our officers while we were doing that process. So it is very integral that we are each other's backup centers. And essentially, that's what this agreement here covers. And then there's some equipment that we share, and then we share a half cost in that, where they pay half and we pay half as well.
And do we have a long-term, obviously it's for 5 years, and I just kind of saw a breakout for this year. It looks like it is a 5-year maintenance agreement. It looks like the fees are reoccurring, the 19,000. And I just want to make sure we have a long-term plan to cover those fees.
Yeah, the agreement is for our radio maintenance, essentially. So the employees that maintain the radio system are employees of the county, and we pay them for the maintenance, the annual maintenance that occurs on the system. There is, yes, normally we budget, it's about $13,000 a year. I want to say $13,400 for this service. They had a new change in leadership over there who went through the books a little tighter and learned that there was a portion of the radio service that, again, we share, but we have not been paying for several years. That had been caught, and now in this new agreement, it was added. So that previously wasn't budgeted for when we built our budget, and that's in addition to $6,000 and some change. We're going to look at areas of our budget in Measure H to be able to make up that $6,000 for this contract moving forward.
So just to confirm, it is in Measure H and we're just going to allocate it to this expense. So just basically do a budget or transfer, a line item transfer.
That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take something that normally we would spend $6,000 on and redirect those funds to pay for this and not buy that other particular item.
And do we have like a long-term or a way to confirm that this is going to be budgetable in future budgets?
Yeah, we'll be able to budget for this in the future budgets at the correct amount. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate your information.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any members of the public like to make a comment on this item? Bring this item back for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item 6 of the consent calendar.
Thank you. I don't open the agenda. I'll second the motion to approve the resolution approving the 5-year agreement with StanR 911.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item number 8, Councilmember Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is, the streets that you've mentioned in this resolution, what about other streets? Like, how did you come about to choose these particular sidewalks, and why were other sidewalks in the city excluded?
Thank you for your question, Councilman. So is what we did, we coordinated with the Public Works Department, and they had indicated that these were some of the more affected areas by raised sidewalks. We know that throughout the city, there's an issue with raised sidewalks, but in the evaluation, we have to pick right around 30 miles of sidewalk to evaluate. And so Eastgate was the first 30 miles that we chose. Obviously, what we have listed in here is the second 30 miles. There was actually a $700,000 that was allocated to this in the 23-24 budget. So this won't be the end of what we're doing. It's just really the second phase of what we're doing. I would see in the near future, we'll bring back other areas that need to be done with the remaining amount of funds that we have. And if you have any suggestions, by all means, you can send me an email or send Doug an email, or and we'll be happy to take a look at those also.
Thank you, but what the sidewalks I'm thinking about are the sidewalks that have sunken. And is that the same as the ones that you're referring to, the risen? Are they two different things?
They are two different things. Generally, sidewalk that has sunk generally is due to a failure of the soil underneath it. And so those are actually more of a remove and replace. Now, the evaluation does look at those areas. And in those, as we move through the programs, is what we'll do is we'll start allocating funds in order to remove and replace those sidewalks. But as opposed to cutting, what we're looking at doing here, those will actually be taking the sidewalk out, recompacting everything that's underneath it. If there's tree removal that needs to happen, we'll remove trees, and then we will re-pour sidewalks appropriately.
Thank you.
Any members of the public have a comment or question on item number 8?
I have a question about that Gene Yakeley series. Through time, through the city here, there's been incidents where people say that, whether it's true or not, I don't know, that's why I'm asking, that the resident might be responsible for what's in front of their house, the sidewalk, because of a tree or an issue like that. Would they be financially obligated to spend money to fix that? And the other question is too, is that when the new house tracks came in many years ago, and probably today too, they made it to where you had to have a tree in your front yard. And some of those trees grew roots and they went to sidewalks. So in any of those scenarios, is a resident responsible for any financial repair?
Thank you for your question. So in the Streets and Highways Code, it actually does state that a resident is responsible for their frontage. And sometimes that frontage, if you live where the back of your house maybe is on, say, Whitmore, and the front of your house is on another street, an interior street, the Streets and Highways Code does say that the resident is responsible. We do know that a lot of the times, residents can't afford to do that, and that's okay. That's why we have programs like this in order to straighten some of these sidewalks out.
Thank you very much. You have a follow-up question? Go ahead.
I don't think I got the complete answer on that. So if the city puts in a tree, I understood when it happened to me years ago in a new house track. They said they came around with a truck with a bunch of saplings or whatever you want to call them, young trees. Said, we had to put a tree in there. The city says we have to put a tree in there. You got a 4 or 5 foot easement. And I go, I don't want a tree. And who's going to take care of it? Well, you do. I said, who's going to feed it? Who's going to trim it? You will. I said, if it dies, what happens? If it dies, you're responsible for the tree. So now, if someone has a tree in the front yard, and for some God forgiven reason, the roots grow under the sidewalk and pops it up, excuse me, but I don't think I got an answer on that. Who's responsible for that?
So what I can say to that really is I would need to do more research on the tree popping up the sidewalk. The only thing that I know is what the Streets and Highways Code says, but I would need to do more research on that question.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, can I answer that?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, the tree situation, if it's a tree, it's in a sense, if the tree is in the city inventory, we would go ahead and take care of it ourselves. As long as it's documented, as long as the city planted a tree, as long as the species that we approve, then we'll go ahead and take care of it ourselves. There's no reason for the resident to do that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments or questions? All right, bring this item back for a motion. You want to make a comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on Yeakley and Sam's comments. I just want to confirm, if a resident is dealing with a tree issue in their front yard now, for example, would they reach out to Public Works? Is that the best step?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve item 8 of the consent calendar.
I'll second to approve the resolution.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Moving on to unfinished business. Accepting and give me 1 second. Accepting and appropriating funding from City of Turlock Fire Department, $67,000, Stanislaus Consolidated Fire Protection District, City of Modesto Fire Department, Yosemite Community College District, and County Regional Fire Authority for the fire training facility tactical tower in the amount of $778,700 and appropriating an additional $131,358,000 for contingency and construction support services. And I do understand that you have a conflict.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so she was going to step out.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. It was 131,350. You said 1 million.
Oh yeah, I was rushing it. I guess we better make sure that the public knows that. Thank you. Okay, so now that Councilmember Rosalind Vieira is gone, the public comment period is now open. Is there anyone in the chambers or attending Zoom that would like to comment on this item? Seeing none. No Zoom, no emails? I'll go ahead, Mr. Warren. Please step up to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. John Warren, resident, City of Ceres. Training center at the old fire station that Ceres no longer uses. The City of Ceres really has no need to train firemen. We have a contract with another agency, Modesto, that provides us with trained firemen. And I would think it would be necessary for that entity to conduct the training that's required by the fire service so their employees are all up to standard. So the cost of this facility comes to bear with the City of Ceres. There's no reason we should be paying double, or we should be paying for training twice. We pay in a contract for the fire services, for the firemen to be here at our stations and drive our equipment and take care of the needs of the city in that regard. But there's no need for us to train them. There's no need for us to provide them a facility as a training facility. If the other agencies want to use our facility, our property, our established fire station down there, and develop a fire training situation, they should pay for it. The City of Ceres should not be paying for this. I've commented on this before, and the money that we're paying to be part of that training center, which is already ours to begin with, we should be using to pay for the services that we receive from the contract. So I would think that you as council people, in looking at providing the funds for that contract, would consider this. I mean, we could rent this facility and rather than pay for the other agencies to use it. I know they're contributing, but they're not contributing everything. We're paying a portion of that ourselves, and we're providing the facility for their use without any compensation. And I think that is incorrect. And the citizens of this city would like to receive compensation for city property that is being used by other agencies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Anybody else with any comments or questions? Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom or emails received.
Okay. Public period is now closed. I bring this item back to the council for discussion. Councilmember Casey, is this currently, you pressed the button currently? Go ahead, sir.
Is this the same, is this the same resolution we voted on at the last council meeting?
Yes, sir. We're bringing it back for clarification because what we're trying to do is remind the council that you have already approved the contract to have this built. We're under contract with a builder. And if we don't accept this $750,000, then we're on the hook to pay for the whole thing. What Mr. Warren was saying is not necessarily correct. It is our fire station. It'll be our fire facility. They get to use it. However, if we decide for some unknown reason to walk out and no longer use Modesto Fire, it's still our facility and we now have a huge asset.
But we voted on it last time, but we're bringing it back for clarification. Okay. And the $131,358.20 the City of Ceres is expected to pay because that's the shortcoming of it.
That's the contingency, yes, sir.
Right, and so when we approved this project, we approved the funding at the same time. We knew that it was going to cost this much. Should we bring that back for reconsideration? Because maybe when we voted on it, we didn't understand that we were going to have to pay $131,358.20.
So at the time when we did that and the council passed it, yes, but because of the longevity it took to get everything into place and the council's approval and everything, the price did go up. So we're now
Okay, so-
erring on the side of caution to make sure we have that extra money just in case.
Okay, so the thing is, this was brought up last time and it was voted, it wasn't approved. And because it wasn't approved, we brought it back for reconsideration. Correct?
Yes, sir.
When we voted on the initial part, did we all understand all of what we were voting on? And then since it passed, we don't have the opportunity to bring that back, part of this reconsideration. Maybe we should have brought it back at the same time. But I understand what you're saying. Something was voted on and approved, so too bad. If it was voted on and maybe we didn't understand or we didn't understand the consequences, too bad. We accept that. But this one was voted on and rejected. And because it was rejected, now we have a responsibility to bring it back for clarification.
We're bringing it back because if we reject it, we're giving up $750,000 that we're going to have to pay for out of our reserves. And we want to make sure all the council is aware of this. And at the time, Councilmember Martinez was not here to vote. And so we're bringing it back for that clarification because we don't believe the council understood at the time that that money is to help offset the cost because we've already signed the contract and we're liable for that, or we fall under a breach of contract.
Okay, so can't we bring it back for reconsideration and take this $131,358.20 and divide it among those people that are using it?
We can prolong it, I guess. I don't know, so I'll refer to Mr. Beltran.
So the $131,358, the construction support part of it is about $20,000. The rest of it is for contingency. When we have talked to our colleagues at Modesto and Turlock, and the rest of the agencies that are contributing, if we have to go into contingency, then we would go back to those agencies for their fair share cost of it also.
So those other agencies have the personnel that are going to be trained at this facility, correct? Right.
Correct.
So isn't there a fair share of the cost, the whole thing? I mean, what are we going to get out of this thing? What is the city of Ceres going to get out of this project? We're going to have a training facility here. There's going to be training personnel that don't belong to the city of Ceres. Granted, they provide service, and even the city of Modesto, the Stanislaus Consolidated, if the fire's big enough, they're going to come and help us put out a fire. And then once this facility is built and paid for, do we have any, can we ask these other agencies that are using the facility for upkeep, maintenance, and anything that might go wrong? Is that all part of this agreement? Or are we assuming that because of the contract that we have in place with the city of Modesto, that we're responsible for the fire stations that we have? Once this is built, are we going to be 100% responsible for the upkeep and maintenance? Or is this contract that we have with these other people, are they going to pay for any of that?
But I don't know all of the ins and outs of our contract with Modesto City Fire, but I do believe that just like in our fire station right down the street, we are responsible for all the upkeep of the station. I mean, I think they mow grass, they do those types of things. But for the most part, anything major that happens, yes, generally the city is responsible for anything that happens within any of our stations.
Thank you.
Could I speak to that?
Go ahead, Chief.
Thank you. Appreciate the discussion that's taking place on this shared resource. If I could just address some of the concerns that have been brought up regarding this training tower. This relationship that Ceres has with Modesto and Modesto has with the other fire agencies within MST, the mission is to provide the best customer service to the public. And the way that they do that is training and practicing for those events that will happen. And the way that we realize the most success is by utilizing a training tower or a facility, whatever it is that replicates the environment that we're working in. Oftentimes we have to make decisions with limited information under a compressed time frame. This training facility will allow us to replicate those environments in a safe manner so that the personnel that are, the firefighters that are here in the city of Ceres, in the city of Turlock, in the city of Modesto, the city of Oakdale, can practice those skills so that they can make decisions and realize the best outcome. The facility at Station 17, although it's not an active fire station right now, in all reality, there are fire engines responding from that station every day. Because if the crews are there and they're conducting training or they're coming and going, that means that a fire engine from Oakdale is responding to a call here in Ceres, or a fire engine from Turlock is responding to people here in Ceres. The advantage of having that facility located here in Ceres is a incredible benefit to the city. Should something happen with the relationship with the city of Ceres and Modesto, that asset will remain here and will still be a valuable resource that, if needed, Ceres could make arrangements or make agreements with other agencies to utilize that resource. As far as the continued upkeep and maintenance, once that facility is there, each one of the agencies participate and contribute to the benefit of that facility and ensure that things are kept up, they're safe, they're maintained, they're painted, and they look professional and ready to go. So the council members have valid concerns about that asset. It's Ceres is contributing a large portion of that, but they are realizing the biggest benefit of that resource in perpetuity. So I hope I've addressed some of the concerns that have been brought up with that tower.
Thank you, Chief. Councilmember Martinez, you have some comments to make?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I just wanted to start by saying that the current facility at Modesto Junior College was built in the 1990s. It's probably 32 to 34 years old. Times have changed, equipment has changed, science has changed. This is an ability to create a new facility that will allow us to train men and women, not just from Ceres, but from Stanislaus County and perhaps from other counties to come and be better adapt and better prepared for situations. Not only will we benefit from it, but our surrounding cities will benefit from it. Ceres Police Department will probably get some use out of it at the same time, I'm sure. At the end of the day, this is Ceres fire training facility, so I fully support it. And thank you, Chief. So with that, I'll actually make a motion to...
Before you make a motion, can I just make one comment?
Yes, sir.
The City Modesto contract and MST has probably made some of the biggest changes in Stanislaus County and is recognized up and down California. So that training facility trains a lot of firefighters that will go out there and save your life. It's called public life safety. So let's just not forget that. I believe there was a motion on the floor.
Yes, sir. I'll make a motion to approve the item.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
No.
Councilmember Vieira abstained, Councilmember Martinez,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-1 and 1 abstention.
Thank you very much. Bring back Ms. Rosalinda, please. Welcome back. Item number 16, approving a new service program offered by Berlotti Disposal and authorizing the use of available legal disposal collection fees that are collected by the Berlotti and the franchise rate revenue payments to supplement a portion of the program costs. Sam?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I just want to bring this subject back to for directions, or not directions, for approval. I just want to go back to the history of how this was developed. Back in July 22nd, City Council meeting, staff was directed to collaborate with Berlotti Disposal to explore options for expanding the seasonal leaf and limb collection program without impacting without impacting service rates, while also determining the actual cost of the service provision. During the October 14th City Council meeting, staff presented two options for consideration. Option one was to extend the leaf and limb program for an additional 3 months until March 31st at an added cost of $94,000. This option would require a rate increase to cover the additional cost of expanded program. Option two offers a new service during the program off-season months from January 10th through September 30th. Under this option, a 2-yard bin would be delivered to the customers at the customer's cost of $45. The full cost for this service is $100. However, $55 of that cost would be offset through the illegal disposal fee that were incorporated into the new rate structure implemented in 2020. Berlotti Disposal has confirmed that the illegal disposal pickup service will not affect the operation of the program as it currently runs. City staff recommends option two be considered. There's no additional cost to the city, as the service would be managed directly by Berlotti Disposal, and no monetary transaction will be facilitated through the city staff. So I'll open it up for discussion.
Thank you. The public comment period is now open. Is there any members of the public that have a comment and or a question on this item? Seeing none. Anybody online?
There are no hands raised on Zoom and there were no emails received.
Okay, the public period is now closed. Bring this item back for discussion from the City Council. Any comments or questions from the council? Councilmember Rosalinda.
I guess just looking at this again, I guess my question would be, do we have like a limit amount of how much money do we expect to expend? And do we have like a certain limit up to each amount so we're not going negative or pulling into the general fund?
Ms. Rosalinda, I don't have the numbers of the exact dollar amount, but Berlotti made sure that the illegal disposal fee part of the revenue that we give to Berlotti will not exceed that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional comments by the council? Seeing none.
Move to approve number 16 on the agenda.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey.
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira.
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez.
No.
Vice Mayor Silvera.
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
Item number 17, approving an amendment to the city manager employment agreement and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement. Ms. Vasquez. Microphone is off, sorry. Or not loud enough.
Good evening. Is that working?
We can't hear from the, let's see if we can switch mics.
Try that. Does that work?
Oh yeah, that works, yes.
So good evening, council. Before you today is a recommendation to approve a resolution amending the city manager's employment agreement. The city negotiated successor agreements with our labor organizations, which included the elimination of the biweekly contribution to the flexible spending account, increased the health benefit contributions outlined in the staff report, and included an 8% salary increase. These benefits and salary increases were also provided to the department heads. In addition, the city manager is seeking to increase the lump sum cash payment by 1 month in Section 7.A of the employment agreement known as the severance package. Approval will ensure parity for the salary increases and health benefit contributions. So council may reject all or part of the portion recommended before you today, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. We'll open up this period of comment for anybody in the audience who would like to make a comment. Members of the audience? Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom and no emails received.
Thank you. I bring this item back to the council for discussion.
Move to approve item 17 of the consent calendar.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Abstain.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Abstain.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0 with 2 abstentions.
Thank you very much. Moving on to councilmember referrals. This one is a referral by Councilmember Martinez for the carport ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we get started, this is just to confirm with City Attorney, this is just us agreeing whether or not we're going to put it on consent tonight. Just because I know there are a lot of citizens waiting for this item that wanted to speak on it that I don't think are going to have that opportunity this evening.
This is to put it for an actual agendized item at a future meeting.
Okay. So just so you guys are aware, if you were here this evening wanting to discuss this item, that this wouldn't be the time. We wouldn't be opening that up to the public, right?
We can, the mayor can open up for public comment, but this,
Okay.
from a procedural standpoint, it's just for the council to provide direction for staff to.
Okay. Perfect. Well, then just to remind you guys, prior to the last meeting, the last one that I had attended since I was ill last meeting, we had a lot of concerned citizens come to one of our meetings to discuss their carports and citations that they had received and wanted to review the ordinance. So with that, my recommendation was to have this brought to us on a consent calendar, have somebody give us a presentation of what the ordinance was and see how we can amend it to be more modern and help support the citizens that it's affecting at the current time.
Okay. We'll go ahead and open this up to the public.
Yeah, well, give us the date and we'll show up, and we just want to find out too, to get what do you call it, for that citation, we don't want to be paying for it because they want to charge us.
Is it possible that we could give them an extension until we bring this back?
We're gonna
Actually-
look into that. Yes, we're going to look into that.
We're going to look into that. Can't give you an answer today, but we got to make sure. Good. Anybody else?
I've been requesting that extension for about 3 weeks now. What's the holdup?
Well, actually, he just asked a question, so we need to verify whether we can do that. So I think that's, and plus also we were waiting for Mr. Martinez to attend the
This
next.
is going to
week's
get held
meeting.
over to when?
We don't have an actual date, sir, but we will be talking about making sure that we'll get you guys a decision on that pretty soon.
I'm willing to pay the fine as long as they don't keep growing on me while we're waiting for this.
That should be a part of it, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the reason why they need to discuss that, make sure that we have cross all those boxes.
So when do I hear? How do I hear?
We'll make sure that you guys will receive some information. I believe they already have your contact information.
So we'll be posting it on an agenda, which gets posted at least 72 hours prior to the meeting. And we do have a functionality on our website where you can sign up to get notification when council meeting agendas are posted. And you can check that agenda every 2 weeks when it's posted.
Fair enough.
I can meet with you to show you how to do that and give you my contact number. You can call me and we can walk through the steps. And if you can you please state your name for the record?
It's Ray Martinez.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, do we know how many citations went out and if if so, there's probably a record. We'd be able to notify them.
So procedurally, it's two things. So administratively, we'll look at if that's what the process is to basically put those on hold. And then the second item, which we'll receive direction from the council tonight, is to bring back an ordinance to address this moving forward.
So we will be finding out if we contact you, the days, for the next meeting.
I'm going to come out there and get both your names and contact numbers, and we'll reach out to you to get you set up so you'll be notified.
Thank you.
When the agendas are posted.
So ideally, what will happen is if the council directs us to bring this back for an ordinance will require a notice of public hearing, so that will be published. But in addition to that, the individuals who receive citations will most likely also receive a notification in the mail of when this is coming back before the council.
Okay. That's great.
If anybody else out in the audience is here for this event, please give Fallon, our city clerk, your contact information. That way she can get in contact with you.
My name is Thomas Morton. I'm
Thomas.
Live in Morrill Village. And I did put up a carport a while back, a temporary carport, and I got a notice, a 10-day notice. No, I didn't get a notice. I never got a notice, but I got a citation afterwards. I was told I would get them notice and then I would have 10 days. So I took it down right away and I paid the fine, but turned out that the notice was never sent to me. It was a mix up in the mail. I was told I'd get the fine back, but I never did. But I'm not really worried about that. I would just like to see a change in the ordinance to where we can put up a carport and have it done with legally, with permits and inspections and done professionally, so they do look good and they're not as eyesore. All over town, there's some of them that are made out of wood with tarps over them and they are eyesores. I agree with that. But it'd be nice to have somebody, especially a homeowner, that'd like to have his cars underneath. I have kind of a workshop in my garage, so I can't park inside, but I need to protect my cars. And I hope that we can find a way to be able to do this. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there anybody else? Please state your name.
Hi, my name is Derek Cowell. I just wanted to reiterate what I had said a couple weeks ago. From what I understand with the progressive movement, the dilapidated buildings in New York and the 5 Points, there were serious situations of sanitation and health and safety, and it's for the protection of the inhabitants therein. And I just ask that you guys remember that, and that, of course, we have a democratic republic, and you guys are elected reps. We'd like you to have a say in these codes, and we'd like, for whatever extent we need to compromise for any of those things, for sanitation, health, safety, we're more than willing to comply. But beyond that, just anything that doesn't make sense, that's a little bit arbitrary, we ask you to reconsider and consider a stewardship thing that we entrust you guys as our elected reps for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Good evening, Linda Chambers. Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to voice my concern with carports. They are not sightly. They do detract from the neighborhood. They are a hazard. They are a problem. And I would like to request that the council give deep consideration to the fact that ordinances are put in place just like laws to protect the citizens. And when you have people who obviously use their garages for things other than parking their vehicles, which was the whole purpose behind a garage, that is obviously their choice, and they can consider using the garage for that purpose rather than detracting from an entire neighborhood and community. When you drive through areas of high aesthetics and larger economic areas, you see that they take great pride in not having things that detract from their neighborhood to bring value to the homeowners. And that's something I would request that you give great consideration to, that these individuals that have chosen to illegally place something in their yards, it's unfortunate, and I'm sure that the cost is something that's in consideration for you, but it was done illegally and it's not to code. And I would like to request that you give deep consideration to the fact that the ordinance should remain. And I did hear a question, and I'm not sure that I heard the answer. I would like to know how many citations were sent within the city of Ceres? How many homeowners did this impact? And when we get that number, if we're able to release that tonight, that we weigh that against the 50,000 plus homeowners in this community and determine the percentage of people that have done this and the value and the lack thereof that it brings to the whole community. I work very hard to try and be sure that our community is well maintained. When I walk at the parks, I pick up trash. When I see signs illegally posted, I take them down. People put up yard sale signs and leave them for weeks on end, and it drives me nuts. And so I'm constantly, you should see my trash can at home. It is filled every week with yard sale signs. These are the kinds of things that bring value to our community when we all pitch in and we look at the aesthetics of where we live and what that means to our families and our children who grow up and see these things. They then carry that with them. So I would, number one, like to know how many homeowners this does involve, so we can weigh that against the total population of the community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much.
How old is this ordinance? It's pretty old. It's time to kind of move into the 21st century here. As far as the aesthetics, I've worked Ceres for 22 years now. I drive up and down. And it's changed a lot.
I don't mean to cut you off, but we're going to try to do our best not to go back and forth.
All right. Well,
but the opportunity will come when we bring all this back to engage.
If you actually go up and down the streets, it's neighbor zoning maybe.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I just want to make sure that.
I agree with the lady said.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So Mayor, just a point of clarification for the public. During public comment on any agenda items or non-agenda items, it's a one opportunity to speak. And the idea.
Just wanted to make, yes, it's their first time, and I just wanted to make sure they.
But it's more of a point of clarification.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
John Warren, the city of Ceres. My thoughts on this matter are that you need to leave the ordinance as it is in place. Back when this ordinance was written, it was well thought out and there was great purpose in it. The lady that spoke regarding the aesthetics and how these things look and affect our community was spot on. Building accessory buildings in the setback area of the front of your house is unsightly and unnecessary, and it's against the law. Several years ago, before the council reviewed the whole municipal code, which was done not that long ago, because I sat through all those process, and this was one of the items that was brought up. And we're looking back maybe 5 years or 4 years, previous council. And this was one of the matters and one of the things that came up, as well as cargo containers and various other things that people would pack onto their properties because they felt it was their property and they were entitled to do what they wanted to do with their property. When I wanted to put my accessory building up to cover my RV, I came to the city and asked, and I was told no, that I could not do that. Even though I had room on the side of my property behind my fence, I was still going to encroach upon the setback area between the two properties. There's a 5-foot setback. So if you've got 12 feet, you've cut yourself down to 7, and obviously an RV can't fit through there. So there's some rules and reasons, things are in place, and they're well thought out, and they should be left in place. If you look around this community, you're going to see some nice structures out on the front driveway. Then you're going to see a bunch of junk, okay? And you are going to have to tell a certain group of people they can't do that. Well, that's already been done. There's nothing that should be in the front setback area of your property. Yard cars, cement, RV vehicles, people parking their trucks there when they come home from work. Those things don't belong in your front yard. And carports are one of those things. Leave it the way it is. And you're going to save yourself a lot of work. And you're going to save staff a lot of work to come up to the same conclusion that we have today when the ordinance was put into effect clear back in 1968. When you go through that R1 zoning thing, it affects a lot of things on the property. And most of these people knew when they built that structure, that carport, that awning, or whatever it is they want to put out in front, they knew that they weren't supposed to do that. I knew, I came and asked, I received my answer. I've talked to a lot of my neighbors that have done that. Some of them are dead in the ground when they built their structures 40 years ago. And they knew, and they said, hey, I don't care what the city of Surrey says, I'm going to build it anyway. And you're going to find that's the case in most of these instances. Unfortunately, some of these folks are going to have to remove their structures, and I feel sorry for them, but they should have came and asked before they did it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Anybody else? I do have a button press. We'll bring this back to the council. Councilmember Rosalinda.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, we got to make sure we give everyone due process. And again, I understand both sides of the story. I have seen some that are very unsightly and they do bring down the neighborhood. And those are probably not the ones that you guys have that are here in the audience today. You probably have ones that are not bought at a lower end store that are probably going to blow down in our next windstorm. And those are the ones that I'm concerned about, definitely. I guess for me, my next question, again, will enforcement continue until this is, or if it's brought forward? And will people be able to put up new structures, even the unsightly ones or the ones that are not up to code? And I think that's an important part of this because I don't want necessarily everyone watching now to talk about it. Now I have everyone having these not up to code carports put in their front yard before the ordinance, so that way it doesn't get.
I'm going to be reaching out to the city attorney. We're going to look at the legality of that for right now as far as the enforcement part of it. No one's going to be allowed to just put up a carport willy-nilly. They're going to need a permit like the Muni Code says right now. And if they follow the procedures and everything, and they can look at the setbacks and see if it meets the demands for right now. But I'll be talking to the city attorney about the legality of stopping or ceasing any repayments or anything or fines.
Okay, I think that my biggest thing is just not have. I don't want to necessarily move forward on this idea of checking to make sure what possibilities or changes that we can make and still be legal and within state code, federal code, and building code. But I also don't want necessarily everyone going up and putting, sunshades in their front yard to protect their home, either when it's not against code or not putting things up, just putting a canopy that may blow off in the wind and then injure, someone next door. So I think that's kind of my issue is I just want to make sure not everyone's going to go around and just create a situation that could be hazardous to other people. And it doesn't sound like they have those kind of canopies they're going to blow away, but you know which ones I'm talking about and you know who they are and you know where they're at. And I think that's more of where I'm wanting to make sure we just don't have those popping up in all of our neighborhoods.
Thank you. Councilmember Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe this question goes to the chief. Isn't our code enforcement process, first we do an administrative warning, you're doing something wrong, give them a time to correct that wrong. And then they don't do that, we give them $100 citation and we give them time to correct that wrong. And then the citation is raised and maxes out at 500. Are we following that procedure? I understood from one gentleman He never got an administrative warning. Instead, he just got the citation. And really, the other question is, and I guess I've been on this for 3 years, did we just start issuing citations 2 months ago, and that's why all these people are here? When did we start issuing citations for the carports? I mean, even in the drive around, we see somebody starting to do it. Do we tell them that, wait a second, have you done this or not? So is it really a two-edged sword? Is it really it's our responsibility to enforce the code that we have, and of course, we're going to decide tonight whether we should consider changing that. But didn't it start with our enforcement process not being followed through? And is it not being followed through now because we decided, well, we're going to consider changing it, but until we change it, shouldn't the process be in place that we have? Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mayor, for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Yeah, Mr. Casey. I am not sure if the code enforcement officers delivered warnings in these particular cases or not. I know that this, I believe this initiative stemmed on the heels of community development, and they worked together in conjunction with code enforcement. I'm again not certain if it was an influx of the carports that were coming in or complaint driven. I believe it started complaint driven. And it is in code as a violation, and I know citations were written. Whether warnings were given first or not, I am not certain of that.
Okay. With that information, I'm sure we'll have a full staff report when this comes back. So is this more of a nod of the heads to move forward?
Yes.
From the left? Yes. He's abstaining. Say yes. Linda?
I'm not sure because it depends on whether we're going to allow everyone to build whatever they want while this is being reviewed.
So
It's just kind of where my answer is going to lay.
No, because
what I've heard in terms of the referral is to bring back an actual agenda item with an evaluation of the current code and options for the council to consider. And based off of that, then we can actually draft an ordinance, because I don't think right now we have anything else on the table. I don't want to misinterpret Councilmember Martinez's referral. If that's correct, then that would be it, unless you have other ideas on what maybe more specific you'd want it to look like. Conceptually, again, it just big picture.
Again, yeah, that would work. I know in the past, like with the food truck ordinance, for example, Rosalinda and I were put on a committee to review what we already have established and bring back to council recommendations to amend that specific item. I would be for that as well, if that's something we can consider. That way, like Rosalinda is worried about, we wouldn't allow anything just to be thrown up however it was. It'd be something that we could specifically itemize and make sure that we focus on not wanting or what we do support.
So as it stands now, nothing changes. I think that's the real question, right?
So I just want to make sure everything stays as it is and nothing.
Until
Until it comes back, and that we're just not going to have a moratorium and everyone can put whatever they want, wherever they want until this comes back.
So until the council formally changes the code and an ordinance is adopted, and then 30 days after that.
So then I have a recommendation. My recommendation would be to freeze the ordinances that are out right now and then create a committee to review this item. Yeah, to freeze the citations and make a committee to review
that's
this.
the citations, not the ordinance.
No, the ordinance.
Again, so the action you're taking tonight is to actually agendize this as an agenda item for a vote. So this is just the referral. Nothing can change.
So even Rose,
Right.
even if you say yes today, until that next agenda item, you can vote no on it. So everything will stay the same now. But that is his motion.
So we are not freezing it or?
Not until,
can't-
I'll make a decision
tonight.
today that it's agendized. I know what you're trying to get at. So as of today,
Nothing changes.
changes.
Nothing can change.
then you can vote on it based on the information you receive on the staff report at the next
Okay.
time. So not for me, yes. Linda?
I just want to make sure we're just not going to have the unsafe ones being built and that we're not going to see just a bunch of unsafe or, stuff being put up while this is being reviewed until we have, whether it's changed or unchanged ordinance brought forward for a vote.
We can't control if individuals decide to put up something between now and whenever the council makes a change. But if they do, it will be contrary to the code and they could potentially be subject to citations and fines.
Okay, I think that was my biggest concern is that they're still subject to the current code.
Yes.
Still have to get permits. And if someone puts something up tomorrow, they
It's still a
can still be
violation.
cited or,
They can.
okay, then yes, I'm supportive of that.
Mr. Casey?
Yeah. This goes back to the chief, I think, before we can make a consideration to change what we have. I think it's an obligation for the code enforcement, the police department, the city manager, public works, somebody at the city needs to tell us that we have 487 illegal carports or whatever structures. We have issued citations. We've issued a warning to those 487. We've issued one citation for $100. We issued a second citation for $200, and all these fees have been paid. And then they've done what they're supposed to do. And then if you want to take into consideration and change the rules, you do whatever you want. But I would vote no on giving the staff the time to do something until you know how bad it is. And then once you find out how bad it is that something you want to change?
All right, so.
Thank you, Mayor.
That's a no
Mayor.
right there.
So if there's consensus to move this forward, what
There is.
staff will do is bring back an agenda item based off of Councilmember Martinez's referral for a potential freeze of the ordinance, freezing of the fines, the creation of a subcommittee for discussion and direction at a future meeting. And we'll also bring back that data that Councilmember Casey is requesting in terms of how many citations and if anybody has paid fines.
And any concerns that any other council member has made today?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually had a question for Chief. What sort of a workload would it be if we were to move from a complaint-driven enforcement and transition into going out on the street, finding an enforcement that's being violated and going through the process like Mr. Casey had outlined with the warning and then the citations? I know this most likely stemmed from one citizen complaining and it brought up one person's covered awning and most likely it grew out of control from that because we do tend to be complaint driven and not visibly enforcing. So what would that workload look like? What would that increase be on staff?
If I'm hearing your question correctly, instead of being complaint driven, maybe more proactive, is that what you're asking as it relates to the carport ordinance?
Yes, sir. Because I know we've got code enforcement and other individuals on the streets patrolling, keeping us safe, but we do have individuals that are violating code that it's blatant, and if no one complains, we don't do anything about it. So what would it look like to transition away from complaint driven and start enforcing our codes?
It's something that we can do. In any cases like this, it's in essence like opening Pandora's box. Somebody complains against a car parked in a court, and now we go out and cite a car parked in a court. Well, we really should then drive every single court in the city and go cite every car that's parked illegally in a court. That's no different than this. If we're going to cite one person for an illegal carport, then we should drive the entire city and cite everybody for an illegal carport if it's in our ordinance. So, yeah, it keeps us very busy. I mean, we have 3 code enforcement officers for the entire city. We have blight issues, building structure issues, you name it, red tag properties. Yeah, I mean, it could keep us busy every single second of the day.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much, everyone. We'll now move on to reports. I have nothing to report. Council members? We'll start from left to right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have one. Myself, Mayor, and Joey, this past Sunday, actually yesterday, we were invited out by the Central Valley Faithful to a turkey fundraiser, and I just want to report that the event was a success. They donated, or they received over 250 turkey meals to go out and donate to needing families in the community. So I'm appreciative of being invited. And I also know that's quite a far drive for Joey to come out to Ceres on a Sunday. So I wanted to say thank you for being there. Thank you for participating. I appreciate that, sir.
Thank you, Joey. Rosalinda? Because I noticed your button press, I just didn't want to make sure.
All right, there you go. That's what you threw me off. Just kind of, we've seen some changes in the economy. I just want to make sure that if you're looking for to start a business, we do have some free workshops available online. We also, at the last Homeless Alliance meeting, we discussed transitional housing and possibly some opportunities that we do have at the Old Memorial Hospital, who are a little older like me, or the old current recovery center. It looks like there are some empty buildings in there. So we've already started that conversation with the county as well as the county and Stanco regarding that. Christmas Tree Lane, the parade's December 7th. I am working with local community organizations to kind of bring the spirit. I know I've kind of been overwhelming Joey's email lately. It looks like we have a couple churches that have offered to come out and actually do some caroling. So we're still working with community organizations as well as trying to get some more to come out, whether it's just handing out candy canes or just helping people across the streets. I'm trying to work on some of that community engagement just to make sure it's bringing the Christmas spirit to the community. And I just want to make sure it's a fun time for all of us. And I think that is it for me. We do have another Stanislaus Homeless Alliance meeting in December, so I should have some other updates at that time.
Thank you, council member. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, city manager? City attorney? Any of our department heads?
Yes, I just want to invite everyone out to our Christmas event. It'll be December 7th. Our event will be here at the community center from 4 to 6 for all the families. And the parade will start at 7 o'clock at Smyrna Park. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Is our county supervisor here today? Online? Okay. Thank you, everyone. We'll now move to closed session. Is there anybody who would like to make a comment on closed session? If not, everybody have a wonderful night and God bless.
Mayor, you need to read the title and ask for public comment.
I just did, but I just didn't read the title. I said closed session, but I'll read the title. We will go into public employee performance evaluation, Government Code 54957B1 for the city attorney's position. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. There's nothing to report.